Guys, back here with a video where today we're gonna be doing a reaction, well, not much of a reaction video. It's pretty much just a random video I find on YouTube. I usually don't talk a lot of my videos. Here we go. Which of the following have you seen featured in a video recently?
Over there. See that? What the hell? These SCPs are brand new to the Foundation. They have been discovered by the Reddit community. Most of these you have never heard of until now. You see that? Right there. Look. Oh my god. These SCPs have not been classified yet with a number. Most of them are just known by names. So sit back and listen to these 5 unknown but dangerous SCPs. This SCP is known as Mold-Ester Moon. Object Class Keter. Mold-Ester is a sphere-shaped entity with an approximate diameter of 1.2 meters and a human-esque face, with an unnaturally large smile. Mold-Ester moves at approximately 4 kilometers per hour in a straight line towards the nearest living, intelligent organism. Upon contact, Mold-Ester will paralyze the host with eye contact. Once paralyzed, Mold-Ester will suck the soul of the host until lifeless. There is no known method of stopping Mold-Ester, as it ignores all matter and will pass directly through it. Mold-Ester is to be kept in a large circular tunnel 100 meters below the surface at Site 85B. This tunnel contains a track system which guides a train-like living laboratory, which is to be staffed by at least 5 D-class personnel and 2 scientists of level 3 clearance or higher at all times. Track-guided lab will move forward at a constant speed of 4 kilometers per hour. Mold-Ester will constantly follow the lab and maintain a distance of approximately 15 meters from the track-guided lab. Once every 2 weeks, Operation Tourmaline 22 will rotate the staff of the track lab. Should Mold-Ester ever deviate from the normal behavior or escape its holdings at Site 85B, then Operation Wickstra 111 will be released to recontain it.
That's just creepy right there, y'all.
SCP name: the Spectre of Göbekli-Tepe. Object Class Keter. The Spectre of Göbekli-Tepe must be contained within a small lidded clay jar in a 5 by 5 meter room at a site no less than 1,000 miles from civilization. No personnel are allowed to be within the room without special permission from O5 officers. Should the Spectre break containment, MTF-MU-13 must be activated immediately and sent to recapture. Failure to contain the Spectre could result in an SK-class doomsday scenario, potentially escalating into an XK-class doomsday scenario. The Spectre of Göbekli-Tepe was first encountered during the archaeologist digs of Göbekli-Tepe in 1996. A small clay jar, approximately 1 quart in size, was discovered. This jar is covered in a prehistoric writing that has as yet not been deciphered. It matches no writing or alphabet style in the world. When the jar was discovered, it was positioned in the exact center of Göbekli-Tepe, within several concentric rings that the archaeologists believe was a holy temple. New evidence suggests that this structure may have instead been a form of prison. The jar was opened, and the first sighting of the Spectre was reported, where it proceeded to migrate to the nearest city, scorch, and consume all life within. After deciphering some of the ruins on the foundation of the original structure, which appears to have been added later, presumably after the discovery of the writings, the archaeology team was able to perform a ritual and recapture the specter within the clay jar where it was then discovered by an SCP team. Further analysis of the ruins indicate that the specter once roamed freely, possibly inspiring the image of death that permeates seemingly all cultures. If humans gathered in large enough quantities, the specter would become attracted to the site and consume all life. According to other inscriptions, once ancient humans discovered a way to contain the specter, civilization flourished, as there was nothing impeding its formation.
That's disgusting.
SCP-SP-00KY-1, also known as the Scarecrow, and Crow 1. During feeding times, all crows are required to feed on the fields directly in range of Scarecrow. Crow 1 will land on Scarecrow's shoulder. It will remain there for the rest of the feeding, glaring its flock. Crows feeding must have a desire to eat, or some type of hunger to safely carry out the procedure. If a crow is underfeeding itself or is obviously staging its hunger, Scarecrow will eradicate the member. This process must be done at least 4 times a day by each flock. Study shows that these procedures were taught to every crow flock that regularly lived in the area from an unknown source. Unidentified personnel that trespasses the site are to be apprehended violently. They will be released from a hospital over at least 70 kilometers away from the site. False memories of a deadly flock of crows are to be replaced from the time of their apprehension. The Scarecrow is made of an unknown material. The Scarecrow regularly attracts over 20 flocks of crows a day. Of each flock consists of a single, rotted, sickly crow, which will be referred to as Crow 1. These crows are seen little to nothing as D-class from the Foundation's perspective. Crow 1 is to sit atop the shoulder of the Scarecrow while the flock feeds. The Scarecrow shows no signs of life, with the exception of 2 events. Common events are seen that the Scarecrow will shriek when a crow is faking their hunger, in an event that one of the feeding crows are targeted by the Scarecrow. Remaining crows are to witness the punishment while eating intently. In a rare event that Crow 1 leaves Scarecrow's shoulder during the feeding procedure, roots that are unknowingly pre-attached will immediately capture any crow that attempts to escape the procedure. No explanation was discovered for Crow 1 to fly away. Further research will be attempted to understand the behavior of Crow 1. A test was planned to capture one of the instances of Crow 1. Here is a later message from Agent 04. Under no circumstances do I want researchers to have you interact with Scarecrow, and especially Crow 1. I expect you all to simply observe from now on as its nature takes its cycle. They must not be exposed to your fears. If they see this, they will want to destroy you. If this happens, terminate Crow 1 involved, and who is ever idiotic enough to disobey this simple order. In a recent study, it appears that Crow 1 holds the fate of every other crow within its flock. While every other crow has high social rankings in their home flocks, the crow are seen with low ranking statuses and are put in high-risk situations as we do with our D-class. Despite their high-risk jobs, D-class crows seem to do their job with little to no resent, and are seen to be gifted by the flock with toys and junk. Despite the praise that these crows get, they're still very low on social rankings, and seemingly to only initiate social interaction when receiving said gifts. These deeds done by D-class crows seem to give off a heroic status from their flock, and will be reverted back to D-class once their gifts are received. Strangely, like our D-class, the crows will have a main view of their D-class as easily dispensable, and they seem to acknowledge it clear enough that the D-class will understand. It is unexplained what these crows strive for besides praise, but Dr. Davison has noticed each Crow 1 feeding on mammals far from their flock, while they are asleep. Further observations show that Crow 1 are never asleep, and they appear to be filled with energy close to the Scarecrow. The object class of the Scarecrow cannot be identified. Only these crows understand the danger of this SCP. SCP, the Floating Shadows, Object Class, Euclid. A 2-kilometer security perimeter is to be established around the town of Lewiston, Vermont, and declared a radiation hazard to civilians. MTF-34 is to patrol the area between the town's limits and the edge of the security perimeter during daylight hours. However, all personnel must vacate the patrol area immediately if ambient light is below 10,000 lux. The anomaly takes the form of a group of shadows that follow anyone who ventures into the small town of Lewiston, Vermont. It is unknown if the shadows themselves are hostile or are simply a manifestation of the anomaly. Only a handful of personnel have returned from the town since first contact in 1978. Survivors report seeing the shadows appear in increasing numbers and following them. Non-survivors were last seen approaching into darkened or shaded areas. First contact with the anomaly was established in 1978 in Lewiston, Vermont, following a series of missing persons cases. No victims were found after reports of the disappearances began. Sightings of floating shadows began 5 weeks after the first reported disappearance. The frequency and number of shadows increased with each sighting thereafter. Cases of disappearances escalated exponentially until no more civilians were present in Lewiston, Vermont. SCP agents were sent to investigate the anomaly. Of 4 agents sent, only 1 returned with an initial report of photographic evidence. SCP, the Wonder Product. Object Class, Keter. After application directly to the skin, the subject pours discrete large quantities of green-brown fluid. The fluid has a high salinity and low density, suggesting it is an altered form of natural sweat. A D-class personnel subject placed in a sterile containment chamber and instructed to apply the Wonder Product. The footage documents the test with the Wonder Product. After approximately 0.001 seconds, the subject begins to excrete fluid from their pores, increasing in flow until the subject was completely engulfed. After 94 seconds, the subject collapses due to pulmonary infusion, and the hazmat containment teams attempted rescue. After the beginning of the experimentation, flow of fluid suddenly ceased. The subject then collapsed, appearing to be a mummified husk. All fluid produced is currently being contained. However, external measurements have concluded that the mass of the fluid equals that missing from D-class personnel. So far, density estimations have matched no categorized fluid in the Foundation's archives. Awaiting permission from O5 for further interaction with the Wonder Product. Hey everyone, if you like this video, please subscribe.
Boleh kenalan nggak? Siapa sih?
An enemy has been slain. Unstoppable. You destroy the turret. Launch attack.
Jangan mobilisasi juga dia. Eto. Oke. Abadi. Yuk.
Welcome to Mobile Legends. Legendary.
Tuh, jaga turret tuh. Ke depan.
Victory.
SCP-4601, Object Class, Euclid, also known as Blemyes. SCP-4601 is a headless humanoid measuring 1.5 meter tall, with atrophied limbs attached to the adjacent socket on the torso, utilizing hot glue, duct tape, and threaded bolts. It possesses eyes, continually redrawn by permanent marker, and a mouth represented by a horizontal laceration extending across its stomach. It meticulously braids its body hairs into either a trimmed mustache or tunic. 4601 cannot see, and instead into its direction using its heightened sense of hearing and touch. Medical linguists have deduced that 4601 can speak in garbled, incoherent vocalizations, owing to instrumental changes in the organization of its organs. Abdominal MRI scans found that the esophagus and larynx are connected to a mangled assortment of colon, kidneys, and lungs, which were held together by contorted airway passages. Its gastrointestinal tract stretches and contracts abdominal skin, emulating mouth movements. Should 461 become aggravated in a conversation, it produces biohazardous gas or excrement. In conversation it deems pleasant, muscles contort near the pectorals, pulling the edges of the laceration into a superficial smile. Interviews, testimonials, business cards, and speeches performed by 461 indicate it cannot distinguish the difference between death and depression. 127 variations of its business card have all surfaced. All begin with the tagline of, "In need of a motivational coach," in bold font. 4601 seeks out prospective clientele. When uncontained and as such, it is naturally drawn to funerals, cemeteries, and morgues. When 4601 encounters a cadaver, it initiates a motivation event, non-performed via electroconvulsive therapy, conventional necromancy, abnormal puppetry, taxidermy, group seminars, and impassioned commentary have yielded sentient life. Since 2009, forensic teams have established a timeline of grave robberies correlating with motivation events. SCP-4601 is to be held within a standard humanoid containment cell, and its tracking bracelet applied to the ankle is to be checked for tampering daily by the D-Class personnel. When 4601 is interviewed, it is to be provided writing utensils or a keyboard to type out responses. The laceration over its abdominal cavity is to be stitched shut, and 4601 is to be discouraged from attempting to recreate the wound. Here are some of the recent motivation events. This one happened in Mount Auburn Cemetery, Middlesex County, Massachusetts in 2009. The team recovered a headless cadaver interred below a heavy vault. The cadaver was found propped up on a bus bench several miles away, dressed in formal attire and headphones that were linked to a cassette player. Rhetorical speeches recorded on a 6-hour-long tape are incomprehensible save for words such as encouragement, job interview, and unlimitations, repeated at 15-minute intervals. The next event happened in Mount Auburn Cemetery in Middlesex County, Massachusetts in 2010. The team recovered a headless cadaver stolen prior to a funeral. The cadaver was found with its ligaments hooked to thin wires. The jaw was entirely replaced by an equivalent prosthesis used in Halloween props, with a voice box transceiver set to 4601's walkie-talkie. 4601 attempted to rehearse motivational speech from its self-published book, Why Stay Down? Turn That Frown, using the cadaver as a puppet, horrifying all in attendance. Responding field agents recovered the book's torn pages in a recycle bin. The next event happened in 2011 at the North Bend Cemetery in Pennsylvania. The team recovered several cadavers belonging to a morgue. The cadavers were found completely disassembled. All connective tissues and organs were integrated into a compilation of leather skin stitched repeatedly. CCTV cameras captured footage of 4601 during the embalming process, becoming increasingly agitated and aggressive in its movements and gestures. Once finished, 4601 pauses with its nipple eye staring. After several hours, 4601 yells and flips the embalming table. The last event happened in 2014 on the Cottage Hill Cemetery in Indiana. The team recovered a headless cadaver with mechanical augmentations. The cadaver was found with a network of cables spanning across its limbs, which were hooked to a twin-cylinder turbo-diesel engine. Jumper cables clipped to the apenoid tissue around the neck region. Conductive rods inserted into the chest. and severe burns marked across the cadaver suggest 4601 sought to imitate animatronic anatomy. Now finally, this is how 4601 was found and captured. On January 5th, 2015, a Foundation Front organization known as 62.7 After Dark FM radio station received multiple accounts of grave robberies from Hellcat Cemetery in Missoula County, Montana. Altogether, the reports followed a consistent narrative of a headless individual moving at night. Squad MTF XI-44, also known as Goosebumps, were deployed, and upon arrival, discovered an underground tunnel decorated with mantled heads and play cards underneath. Each was inscribed with the words, "Success." 4601 had busied itself on a podium made of telephone books, addressing several cadavers affixed to lawn chairs. MTF cornered the humanoid and captured it with the combination B-Bang shotgun and tasers. Once captured, researcher Frank Martins conducted an interview with 4601. After scoring positively on the advanced humanoid test and on English reading proficiency tests, 4601 was provided a writing utensil and sheets of notepad paper. 4601's blindness became apparent to the researcher Martins after it attempted to write an email address and an hourly fee on the table surface instead. This is the interview. Martins guided 4601's hand to the paper. That should do. At the very least, initial a report saying your hearing isn't impaired.
Oh, we got a big hotshot over here, don't we? Greetings and salutations, Mr. Clammy Hands. Now, could you and your ragtag crew of jackoffs kindly screw off? Disturbing my mojo in my workplace with a client, no less.
You chopped the deceased's corpse heads off and threw it onto a sizable pyramid of heads.
That's a load of crap. It was a bonsai tree. Well, at least supposedly, to me originally, sort of got carried away. It was meant for meditation, spiritual healing. You know, like those fancy shamsy scented candles those chiropractors use to lighten the mood.
Can't quite say I see the purpose in decorating graves and beheading the corpses therein.
Don't you have eyes in the noggin of yours? They were successful stories, goddamn. In a modern time, we face an epidemic. And you want to know what that is? Depression. Making people a bunch of do-nothings.
Success stories as in the mantles?
Of course, I mean the mantles.
What's the point of it? We found multiple accounts of your handiwork all throughout the United States.
Those were other successful clients that I helped motivate. I mean, it worked for me if you couldn't tell by my ideal body.
How did you become like this?
Standing up for myself.
Against who or what?
Bosman.
Bosman? As in your creator? Master? Help me out here.
Look, I was a wreck back when. Couldn't get up from bed. All because the Bosman, that stuff here, thought it was a funny idea to not only fire me, but chop my top bits off. Looked a lot like you in your tiny dress shoes and your 1 gram Rolex watch. Life changed for me after that.
What happened after you were fired?
Well, as I said, I was depressed. Hadn't seen sunlight for ages. But the thought of this eating grin as he chopped me down for my own axe. Man, that riled me from my core. Who does that? And man's tools are sacred. Anyhow, that anger motivated me. Pushed me to be the man you see before you.
I gathered. Apparently, you're more of the exception rather than the rule in the regard.
What do you mean?
Your clients? They're still dead? No matter how you try and make them move?
Dead? Look, I don't know what pills you're snorting from your fancy ivory tower, but they're not dead as much as you or I. Just, you know, not moving.
Right. Either way, seems like you haven't helped them move at all. Take it that wasn't what you wanted?
I'm a hack fraud. The seminars haven't been working. The trust falls don't phase them. Closest I got was the electroshock bowl. And even then, all they did was flop around like fish out of water.
There. My deepest sympathies.
I'm going to level with you, Hotshot. Been at this for ages. Don't think I've ever motivated one guy. Hell, those mantled heads were more for my sanity than theirs. None of those lazy bones want to get up and become productive members of society. And it's really driving me up the walls. Can't tell if it's my fault or not. Heck, who am I kidding? I've seen free mental health websites more helpful than me.
Maybe this isn't your calling.
What?
After further examination and testing, upon good behavior, I'm sure we can find some new hobbies for you. Perhaps something involving craftsmanship?
Not my calling? Not my calling? Ought to kick your ass. Wait, new hobbies you said? As in a new approach, you mean? That actually doesn't sound too bad of an idea.
Yes, that's right. Standard operating procedure when dealing with SAP.
Yes, I get it now. I've been spending the best years of my life trying to shake those lazy bones into shape. No, it's not me. It's the damaged, fragile, weak-willed, millennial lazy bones that are wrong.
Pretty sure your last client was an octogenarian.
Millennial relative to me? She's got no excuses if I'm bold as dirt.
Can you run this plan by me?
Sure. So basically, I've been tackling this all wrong. Your outfit says Depression Anonymous meeting with my former group in the North Bend, right? Had to have.
Depression Anonymous, what? That's what you called the monstrosity you made out of the people's organs.
I think I went from the wrong angle. Instead, how does organ arbitrage sound? If our clients aren't going to budge an inch, I'll find people who will. I mean, it would be like I motivated my clients a little bit, only tinier versions of them. What do you think is the going rate for organs south of the border?
I think you took a radical different meaning than what I meant.
I don't.
On November 21st of 2015, Site 440 experienced a containment breach caused by an unrelated anomaly, which allowed for 601 to escape, mounted atop a semi-animated construct assembling a horse. Its components were seized from the corpses of the researcher Martins and multiple guardsmen.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Sorry if that was a little too scary for you guys. I just love SCP things. And let me know if you guys want to see more videos like that. Thank you, and goodbye.